Hey folks, welcome back. Crazy the path that life takes you on, huh? You really can never predict the twists and turns that you're going to experience. One day you're sitting in a room making YouTube videos, and the next you're sitting in a different room making YouTube videos. And then the next day you're sitting in the same room from the first time making YouTube videos. It's like a roller coaster, except the roller coaster is like a straight line. There's no loops or twists or turns or anything, and you think, man, that was a ripoff. I waited a long time in line for that. But, you know, at least there's a beaver tail stand across the way. And that's life. Man, time flies when you're suffering, huh? It's been a full goddamn year since I uploaded my first video. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. You can hear me say real swear words in that one. But since then, I've been having so much fun making videos about video games, public service announcements, Olive, editing a movie analysis for 2 full days only to have some slimy corporation come in and say, this money is ours now. You know, the money that I don't even get anyway. But yeah, other than that, it's been a blast. But in all seriousness, thank you so much for sticking with me for a full year. It really has been an overwhelmingly positive experience regularly making YouTube videos. And I wouldn't have the drive to keep going if I didn't have a small but active community of beautiful people devoting their well-earned free time to watch me talk about Gex and Garfield Kart. Thank you all, I love you very much. But enough with the sap. What is this, a forest? Where are we, Canada? Well, actually, yes, we are in Canada. But a whole year is a big deal. So I want to do something special to commemorate my channel's first anniversary. So what better way to do that than to revisit the topic of my very first video, Luigi's Mansion. I have kind of a strange history with this game. I really like it, but I've never beaten it, which is weird because it's really short. I'm not really sure why I've never beaten it. I love it as a concept, and I've had it forever. I guess I've just been busy with... But you know what? Enough is enough. I'm finally going to give this game a comprehensive look. Let's go. It's time for Luigi Mansion. The Nintendo GameCube. The first of many instances of Nintendo very clearly having enough money to spare to not give a shit about their products selling well. The GameCube is weird when you really think about it. It's one of Nintendo's worst-selling game consoles. And to be fair, it was competing with a cutting-edge new console with brand recognition, online multiplayer, and fucking Halo. And the PS2, which, like, people were giving their organs for this thing. But Nintendo didn't really seem to care about the GameCube's low sales, because they were going absolutely bonkers during this generation. Metroid Prime, Wind Waker, Mario Sunshine, Kirby Air Ride, Pokemon Coliseum and XD, F-Zero GX, Star Fox Adventures, Mario Strikers, Four Swords Adventures, Paper Mario, Mario Party, Fire Emblem, Super Smash Bros. Melee, pretty much unanimously considered to be the best Smash Bros. Game, and also a bunch of new titles debuted on the GameCube. Chibi Robo, Eternal Darkness, Pikmin, fucking Animal Crossing, man, come on. And if all that wasn't enough, they also had the Game Boy Player, a peripheral that let you play Game Boy games on your TV. Nintendo fucking rules, or at least they used to. These days they just copyright claim 13-year-olds for playing Mario Kart on YouTube and never, ever put their games on sale. But, in my opinion, one of the most unique and ambitious titles that Nintendo put out during the GameCube era, perhaps one of the most ambitious titles they've ever made, was Luigi's Mansion. People were pissed when this game came out, man. And to be honest, it's easy to scoff and say what a bunch of idiots with the hindsight of 20 years. But I mean, think about it from a 2001 perspective. The next generation of consoles were coming out and they were looking unbelievable in comparison to the previous generation. And Nintendo, hyping up their GameCube, shows this. A tech demo called Mario 128. So obviously, everyone is hype as shit for a follow-up to Mario 64. And then when the console comes out, they're instead given this weird fixed camera angle game starring Luigi, where you suck up ghosts with a vacuum. Like, it's a little different than what people expected. And it took a long time for this game to really shake that reputation. Even with an actual 3D Mario game for the console, people were like, what's that? You can't jump? No thanks. I'll stick to Jimmy Neutron Attack of the Twonkies. At least you can jump in that one. But eventually people came around to Luigi's Mansion. These days I would say that people who dislike this game are firmly in the minority. And I really liked this game back in the day. I had no idea what to do or where to go, but goddamn if I didn't have a fun time doing it. But that's enough background. I think I've wasted your time enough. So let's just surpass all the garbage and just dive headfirst into the shallow end of Luigi's Mansion.
Nintendo.
So the game opens up with Mrs. Mario's second favorite son walking through the spookiest of spooky forests until he discovers what he was looking for, a gigantic, creepy mansion that he seems very reluctant to enter. Obviously, since Mario and Luigi generally don't talk, apart from
Okie dokie.
Oh,
Here we go.
yay,
Bingo.
oh, bingo.
I'm Luigi.
Mamma
Welcome to Mario Kart.
it's not exactly evident what Luigi is doing at this clearly haunted mansion in the middle of nowhere in the dead of night. However, luckily, I have a very powerful tool called Wikipedia, which can help to elucidate that confusion. It turns out that Luigi had been notified that he won a considerably less scary-looking mansion in a contest that he did not enter. So he calls up Mario and says, presumably in Italian, "Meet me outside the mansion." A creepy, wispy ghost drops a key in the front foyer, leading Luigi to the upstairs parlor, where he's confronted by a goofy-looking orange ghost. Although it seems to scare the shit out of Luigi, so maybe if I existed in that world it would be scarier to me. Thankfully though, the ghost is distracted by a little old man attempting to suck him up with a vacuum, although the ghost breaks free and then goes back into the mansion. This is the first time we meet Professor Egad, a character who would go on to become a recurring character in the subsequent Luigi's Mansion games, and he also made a few cameo appearances in other Mario games. Frankly, I'm kinda shocked that he never made it as a playable character in Mario Kart, or any of the other sports games for that matter. But anyway, Dr. Gad is a scientist and inventor who gives Luigi the Poltergust 3000, a vacuum cleaner designed to capture ghosts. And also the Game Boy Horror, which is essentially a smartphone when you think about it. It has your map, an inventory, and a camera on the back that you can use to scan things. And if you use it to scan a mirror, it'll warp you back to the main entrance of the mansion, which is super useful. But anyway, Egad takes Luigi back to his laboratory and explains that he's been living in the area since he was in his 20s, and he says that this mansion popped out of nowhere a few days ago. He also explains that Mario arrived at the mansion before Luigi and never returned. So it's up to Luigi to capture the ghosts with the Poltergust 3000 and use Egad's big machine to turn them back into paintings. And after that, he sets you loose into the mansion to go find as many big boss ghosts as you can and suck them up and turn them into paintings, all while looking for your displaced brother. And from there, the game is very similar to... It's like... Don't say it. It's a lot like Resident Evil. You motherfucker. The whole game takes place inside this huge 4-story mansion, which you have to slowly make your way through, defeating mini-bosses and finding keys to progress further. In general, to fight the ghosts, you stun them with your flashlight, and then their heart will show up and you can start sucking. Once you're in vacuum mode, you have to point the left stick in the opposite direction that the ghost is trying to pull away to try and make the number go down to 0. If you've only got one ghost to deal with, it's pretty easy. But if there are other ghosts in the room, it can pose a bit of a challenge, because the other ghosts can grab you or punch you to free their homie. Some ghosts throw banana peels that Luigi can slip on, sometimes they drop poison mushrooms that shrink you and stop you from vacuuming. You can't really control Luigi while you've got a ghost on the hook. He just kind of flies all over the room. It's a very cool and creative control scheme, honestly. I never feel like, ugh, I have to fight ghosts, because it's like a fun little mini-game in itself. The bosses, on the other hand, are a little bit more complicated. Throughout the mansion, there are these big ghosts that don't really care about your flashlight, and they always have 100 health. Considerably higher than the standard ghosts. They're always visually distinct. The normal ghosts are just kind of single-colored blobs, whereas the boss ghosts always have character traits that you can notice just by looking at them. Like the dad ghost, the first one you encounter, is sitting in a study in a rocking chair and you have to wait for him to yawn to attack him. And there's his wife who's brushing her hair and you have to open the curtain so that she'll get up and close it. And all the bosses are like that. You enter their room and you have to figure out on your own how to solve the puzzle to make them vulnerable. Some of them are more fun than others, like this Chad ghost who you have to punch punching bags into, and also get out of the way so as not to get hit when it comes back. I like that one, it's fun. And then on the other hand, you have this motherfucker playing pool who knocks the cue ball into the other balls, shooting them around the room, and then you need to grab one and shoot it into him. And every single time he gets loose from your vacuum, you have to wait for him to slowly make his way all the way around the goddamn pool table. Sir, can you please make haste? I have a brother to save. On that note, there are larger scale bosses who transport you to a different realm and who you actually have to have an extensive boss fight with. After which Egad calls you up to head back to his lab and deposit all the ghosts you caught. Anyway, eventually Luigi comes across a trap door on the floor, and upon opening it, releases King Boo and an army of smaller Boos. I mean, yeah, duh. Egad explains that they were the ones who released all the ghosts from their paintings. So from then on, one of the main objectives in the game is to capture Boos, 50 of which are hidden throughout the mansion. And catching the Boos is pretty... it's alright. It can just be kind of a chore in my opinion. They're always hidden inside objects in each room, and you have a little blinking light on your Game Boy Horror that indicates whether you're hot or cold. Also, every room has a red herring which will reveal a bomb or a Boo Ball. Yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of annoying. They're not too hard to catch, but if you don't manage to get their health all the way down in enough time, they escape to another room and you have to follow them. It gets especially bad later in the game where the boos have between 150 and 300 health. Maybe I'm just an idiot? Hahaha, yeah, it's funny because it's my username. Shut up. It's very possible that I'm not doing it right, but with these ones later on, I often find myself running back and forth between rooms like 5 or 6 times before the godforsaken fucking boos just finally get into my stupid vacuum cleaner. Anyway, as we progress further, we find several of Mario's lost items. A hat, a shoe, a glove, a power star, and a half-empty Bud Light. If you bring these to the fortune teller ghost, she'll tell you information as to Mario's whereabouts. Which is kind of strange, given that at this point in the game you would have already found Mario in the painting in the secret basement area. Upon giving her the last item, she expresses shock that Bowser is in the mansion, since Mario already defeated Bowser, and she says that King Boo must have revived him. Did Mario kill Bowser? As thanks for providing him information about where his missing brother is, Luigi of course consumes her with the vacuum, condemning her to eternal afterlife trapped inside of a painting. But after capturing all the boss ghosts and finding a key to the secret room, you engage in a showdown with King Boozer. Luigi brings the Mario painting back to the lab and Egad returns him to his corporeal self, and you can add Conquered Luigi's Mansion on the Nintendo GameCube to your resume. Now I hear what you're saying. Oh, Ben, is it a good one? I'll never tell. It's far from an uncommon sentiment these days that Luigi's Mansion is a good game. The vast majority of people, even a lot of those who shit all over it when it came out, look back on it fondly. I mean, hell, the increasing adoration of this game over the years resulted in Nintendo making 2 sequels to this game, one of which is really good. Mark August 16th, 2022 on your calendar, fellas. But we here at Idiot Ben LLC know that no one's opinion fucking matters except for mine. So let's get into it, baby. Honestly, it's a shame that this game got so overshadowed by the aggressive anticipation for a new Mario game, because Luigi's Mansion is an absolute jam. In retrospect, it's kind of funny that people lost their minds. I mean, it's not like this was a Mario game. In a lot of ways, they went the safe route by giving Luigi the starring role. That said, it's such a weird game. It has so many creative ideas and neat little quirks. It really does resemble survival horror games in terms of structure and gameplay. It drops you in this big, unfamiliar mansion, giving you nothing but a map that doesn't really tell you about anything or where stuff is. The only real sense of progression it gives you is telling you which keys go to which door. And even then, it's not just like go to room, kill ghosts, get key, repeat. They clearly try to prevent it from getting repetitive. Like sometimes you clear out a room and you get a chest, but it's just full of money, no key, which necessitates you to be like, well, I guess I better go check on some rooms. On top of that, like I said, I really love how they handle the boss ghosts. There's no big cutscene or dialogue or anything. You just walk into the room and they're there. Luigi doesn't even react to them. I love that. It doesn't break up your progression at all, and it lets you focus on sort of surveying the room and trying to see if you can figure out the solution on how to defeat the ghost. The game doesn't treat you like a fucking idiot. All the ghosts have visible personality to them, so you can tell what you're supposed to do to them. The granny ghost is knitting, so you have to shoot yarn balls at her. The butler ghost is walking around with an unlit candle right after you get the ability to shoot flames out of the vacuum. There's a skeleton ghost outside the doghouse, so obviously you gotta get one of his bones, because it's common sense. Dog love bone. It's not always super clear. Like Neville, the first boss, is sitting in his rocking chair reading a book, and the way to make him vulnerable is just to wait for him to yawn, which, yeah, I guess that's a pretty common trait of dads, but still, it's not as clear as the other ghosts. Although, to be fair, he is the first boss you encounter, so the focus is probably more on teaching you that you have to wait for the ghost to be distracted before you can start slurping them. And on that note, I don't think this game gets enough credit for how fun it is to combat the ghosts. I love sounding like a broken record, and I think it kind of reminds me of survival horror games in the sense that it's kind of a difficult task to capture the ghosts, especially when you're dealing with a bunch of them at the same time. In a lot of ways, it kind of reminds me of Fatal Frame, which is kind of funny because Luigi's Mansion is a little bit older than that game. But it reminds me of Fatal Frame in the sense that if there's a ghost in front of you, you have to stun it and then play a little mini game to defeat them. It makes the ghosts seem like they're more of a threat rather than just disposable throwaway enemies. But that said, it never really feels like taking a ghost out is a tedious, drawn-out task, because the mechanic of sucking them up requires enough effort but doesn't take too long to feel like a chore. Honestly, considering how short this game is, part of me is kind of surprised that they didn't make the combat more drawn out to elongate the game, and I respect the hell out of them for not doing that. The more I think about it, the more respect I have for Nintendo for releasing this game, because it was just such a blatantly bad idea at the time. They must have known that this was going to piss people off. It's like 3 hours long, it doesn't have Mario, and it's nothing like a standard Mario game. All that said, I think a lot of the initial rage toward this game can be attributed to the comparison to Mario. which is understandable. I mean, it takes place in the Mario universe. But I would go so far as to say that one of the strengths of Luigi's Mansion is how far that it actually goes out of its way to differentiate itself from Mario. Not only through gameplay. Obviously, that's a huge departure, but I think two of the major takeaways for me is how it developed Luigi's character and how thick its atmosphere is. This game might start a forest fire if it's not careful. Luigi's Mansion has so many cool little details that I love. The mansion is full of fake doors that crush you if you try to open them. There are two ways to tell if it's fake or not. Firstly, if it's a mimic, it won't show up on the map. But one thing that I only recently learned is that the fake doors don't have doormats in front of them while the real doors do, which is such a cool little detail. You'd really have to be paying close attention to notice it. All the different ghosts have their own personalities and they just go about their business regardless of Luigi's presence. Like the Boos created this mansion to lure in Mario and Luigi, but the other ghosts don't fucking care. They're just happy to be out of a picture frame. Kinda makes you feel like an asshole for sucking these ghosts up, doesn't it? Don't make me question the morality of a Mario game, Nintendo. I'm already struggling enough as it is with Kirby. Okay, hear me out. Mario, Luigi. Are you following me so far? We all know these two. Definitely one of the most famous sets of brothers of all time. Everybody knows Mario. He's just a happy, jovial dude who is always willing to save the day. The quintessential hero. He's simple, easy to understand. He has a personality for sure, but you just can't help but like Mario because he's just plainly the good guy. Luigi, on the other hand, is nothing like his brother. Sure, he's been on many adventures, and he's also willing to save the day, but Luigi has a completely different and more interesting personality than Mario. He's timid, kind, and often more hesitant to run right into scary situations than his brother. He's got the will to do it, he's driven and brave, but Luigi comes off as much more relatable because he shows emotion. He shows fear in the face of uncertainty. There's this ongoing joke that Luigi is like the forgotten brother and that Mario is an asshole because he hogs the limelight. But in my opinion, the reason that Luigi is such a more relatable character than Mario is because he doesn't want the limelight. He doesn't like being the person to put his life on the line. He pretty much always gets dragged into situations like that. Also, enough of this, oh, Mario and Luigi hate each other. Luigi resents his brother for all his success. Enough with that garbage, alright? Mario and Luigi love each other very dearly. I can't think of a more wholesome example of brotherly love than that between our two favorite video game Italians. Luigi's entire personality originated in Luigi's Mansion. Prior to this game, Luigi was quite literally just green Mario. But in Luigi's Mansion, our boy is dripping with personality. Bad word for that, I apologize. He's terrified. He's driven to conquer the mansion so that he can get his brother and best friend back, but he's absolutely dreading every second of it. Throughout the mansion, the same song is playing, and because this game is fucking amazing, Luigi is always singing along with it. When you're in an area that you haven't cleared of ghosts, the room is dark and Luigi sings along timidly and nervously while shaking. After you beat the level, the music stops, but Luigi, much more confident now, whistles the theme music in its absence. It just shows the cool duality of Luigi's personality. He's scared in the face of, scary stuff, but he's also brave and confident when he's managed to beat the odds and sort of claim the room for himself. This game is just designed to make you resonate with Luigi. The ghosts pop up behind him and scare him, his hand shakes when he opens doors. It's just great. Say what you will about this game, but Luigi would not be the man we know and love today without it. And there you have it, folks, Luigi's Mansion, in all its glory. It's a short game. Really short. You could beat it in an afternoon, no problem. But I really like it. It's a neat take on the haunted mansion subgenre of video games. So with all that said, thank you so much for supporting me through an entire goddamn year of making stupid YouTube videos about video games. I assure you though, this is just the beginning. I got plenty more fuel in my tank. Before we know it, you're going to be watching my 50th anniversary video, where I'm an Alzheimer's-ridden old man rambling about Fatal Frame. But until then, I'll be here making videos. I really mean it when I say that I love you all. Thank you so much.